Hi everyone and welcome to the start of this reading vlog where I'm going to be tracking my journey through reading Chain of Gold, which is the first book from the Last Hours series, which is of course part of the whole Shadow Hunter world by Cassandra Clare. I will try and keep this video relatively spoiler free, but I'm not sure how doable that is right now going into this. Don't know how doable that will be at all. But if there do end up being spoilers later on, I will warn you before speaking of them and I'll let you know how far into the book they are so that you can follow the video along to whatever point we are at otherwise. But yeah, I bought this a good month or two ago now and I've been meaning to buy it for months beyond that point, so you've probably already read this by now anyway. I'm just slow to the party, but I've been so desperate to give this a read and I'm so glad to finally be starting it. Hi guys, so it's the next day and as you saw last night I got well and truly stuck into, I forgot what it was called then, Chain of Gold, and I'm on page 94. I think I can keep this update spoiler free. So right now I'm trying to just get orientated back with the characters. It's been a while since I've read some of the older Shadowhunter books, and it's been a while since I've read the Infernal Devices. And trying to remember who's who right now is a bit much, except for very obvious characters. So I had to actually look up a family tree earlier, just so I could work out who the heck some of these people were that we were on about. Because there was a kind of dance, ballroom dance going on at the London Institute. And I was like, I don't know who these people are. I feel like I'm being treated as if I should know who they are. And yeah, it was just a bit much in the end, so I looked these people up and was like, oh, I mean, I still don't know who some of them are. I think I genuinely just wouldn't know who they were anyway. So, my thoughts at 94 pages in. This might end up being my favourite trilogy within the whole world yet. I'm really enjoying the characters in this one, but I'm enjoying that we get the nostalgia of the characters from the Infernal Devices too, which would be my favourite other trilogy. So yeah, I don't know, I really enjoy the London setting. The descriptions of some of the places, like around Kensington, for example, South Kensington, were just absolutely phenomenal. I felt like I was there, it was great, and I'm having a really fun time. Don't think I have much more else to say right now. Not a heck of a lot's happened other than meeting a ridiculous amount of characters and me going, who are you? So yeah. Okay, so I'm on page 126. Basically, I've just finished the weirdest chapter. So we start off by being at a lake and all these young shadow hunters are just kind of getting together and hanging out. And Cordelia is kind of busy telling James off for leaving her at the dance the previous night and abandoning her for someone else. And so then, just as they make up, Grace, is that her name? I'm terrible with names. I'm sure it's Grace. She arrives and this is who James really wants to actually be with. So Cordelia's like, I'll leave you to it. Goes back towards everyone, and then while James is hanging out with Grace and they kiss, he feels really weird and not quite right, and at the same time this like massive demon arises from the lake and attacks one of the shadow hunters. Then it quickly disappears even though no one's attacked it, and then all these other demons appear, and it's just really like the whole point around this book that has been emphasized is that a lot of these younger shadow hunters aren't well trained for battle, because when they're doing like rounds or whatever, they never actually see demons anywhere. Like, demons have become not really a thing, especially compared to the Infernal Devices time. So it's so bizarre to go from like one extreme to the other, and I'm just like, what is going on? And is it linked to that kiss? It must be linked to that kiss. Knowing Cassandra Clare, there's definitely something about that kiss, along with that family anyway. The Blackthorns are weird in this book. And I still wish that I had the spare time in the world to reread every Shadowhunter book up to this point, because I can't remember who some of these people are still. And it's really bothering me. Like, Ragnarfell has been mentioned. The name rings a bell. I know he's a warlock, but I feel like his name means a lot and I can't quite place it right now. So yeah, I'm having a few issues with that problem still. But yeah, I just wanted to update you with what the heck was that last chapter, although the fight scene was fantastic. James was so badass. Like, I could see why James has become like the new Will almost in my eyes. I'm just like, oh my god, James is amazing. And I can see why Cordelia likes him. So yeah, onwards and upwards. I'm about to start chapter 5. So it's update time. I am quite a chunk of the way through now. Not checked what page number though. I'm on page 224, so it's been a little while since I last updated you. I'm not going to hold the book up any longer because it's heavy, which is my main complaint actually. I'm starting to miss reading on my Kindle a bit at this point. I think I go through phases of being in and out of love with my Kindle versus physical books, and right now I would love to be reading this on my Kindle rather than this great big brick where I just hit myself with because it's so heavy. So, what has happened since I last updated you? First of all, I think this had happened beforehand, but I just didn't mention it. I know I am desperate to reread practically all the Shadowhunter books, and so therefore they are rusty in my head, but I don't remember demons being something that only came out at night. Yeah, that seems to be very much a thing that's being mentioned in this book. Oh yes, demons only come out at night, or when there's like really dark cloud cover. And this big thing has happened where this has been not the case for a different demon, and they're kind of looking into that right now and being all like, but it was cloudy, and then they were like, well no, but the sun was out over our bit, yet this demon was still there. And I just don't remember it being a thing in the other books, but maybe it's just me being forgetful. Like I said, I am desperately in need of a reread of, quite frankly, every Shadowhunter book up to this point. So I'm not sure whether it's a me thing or a Cassandra Clare thing that it's not been mentioned before. Maybe it has. Let me know in the comments down below if you happen to know. The other major thing I want to update you on is Anna. So Cordelia has gone round to see Anna. She thought she was just going around for a cup of tea. And when she gets there, Anna, who is, I'm assuming, it's not explicitly been said yet, but I'm assuming is a lesbian and not bi. She could be bi, it's not been specifically said. But she's got a woman round and she's mid getting rid of her. And this woman's like really clingy and all like, oh my god, but I love you. And she's like, well, this was just a bit of fun to me. And she's like, how dare you treat me like all the other girls? And this is what Cordelia arrives to. But as this woman is losing it, her mum pulls up in a carriage and is like, will you stop and just get in the carriage? That boy isn't worth it. And I just thought it was really interesting that Cassandra Clare had chosen to put it in there that this woman has assumed that because Anna isn't a stereotypical woman from the times, I mean, we're looking at like 1900s here, that because she isn't a kind of normal woman, it must be a man because she looks like a man, because she's dressed like a man. Like, I just thought it was great that that was thrown in there just to help you keep in check the time period that you're in and how far we've come in society today. Because of course a woman can have short hair. Of course she can wear like smart kind of like suit clothing, like vest, jacket, everything, instead of like a kind of extravagant dress. So yeah, just thought that I would throw that out there. I'm going to go back to reading now. I'm going to read for about an hour. So I'm currently on page 224, which is chapter 9. And we'll see how far I get. I mean, this book's nearly 600 pages long, and as much as I'd love to finish it today, don't think that's going to happen, but I'm going to give it a really good go because I'm at the point where I'm absolutely loving the book. Addicted to the plot. But it's so heavy to hold for like an extended period of time. Like I have to read for an hour and then just stop just to give my wrists and hand a break. So yeah, missing my Kindle right now. So it's now Tuesday the 8th of September. And I'm going to try and read all the rest of this today. And I don't know how that's going to go for me, to be honest, because yesterday I felt like I read quite a lot. And it definitely wasn't 250 pages worth of reading. I think I did maybe 150. So I am on page 350. There's just under 600 pages. And I just want to get this finished. And since I last updated you, things have really started happening, quite frankly. So someone died when I was reading it last night, and it caught me so off guard. And I was like, oh my god, did not see that coming. Well, it's a possibility. There was always the possibility, but all the same, I wasn't expecting it when it happened. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So that really hit me. And now I just wanna fly through. I want a bit of happiness, a bit of romance, no more deaths, and some more London descriptions because they're fantastic. Okay, so I'm now on page 391, which is the start of chapter 16. The end of chapter 15, oh my goodness. That chapter was like, whew, steamy. So some characters end up in a situation where they need to pretend that they're a couple that have kind of just stumbled off for a bit of fun. But at the same time, it's unclear whether they were just doing it as a bit of fun or whether they actually ended up genuinely wanting it. But from the perspective we get, they're definitely wanting it. But the other person involved, it's difficult to know whether they were genuinely into it or whether it was just all an act. But whichever way, it was steamy as hell. Like, whew, probably one of the steamier Cassandra Clare romance parts that I can recall. Maybe it's just because I want these two to be together. I'm not sure. It's definitely the romance that I've wanted to happen the most since back from the Infernal Devices days. So, yeah. Also, earlier on in that chapter, the dramatic irony of this is not lost on me. So because of things that have been happening in this book regarding attacks and the way that those are spreading and the people that are being infected by those attacks, people are essentially now in quarantine. So those that are in London can't actually leave London. They can't go to Idris. They can't leave the walls of London, basically. They've set up wards on the outskirts of London. Meanwhile, the same has been done for, I think they said it was York and the York Institute. So people around there can't leave there. They can't go to Idris. Meanwhile, people that live in the rest of England, so for example, the Cornwall Institute, they are meant to be doing patrols and checking around all the way up to the wall of London. So they can leave like Cornwall and stuff, but they can't go into these places that have been quarantined off. And of all the years for this book to come out, it's come out in the year where we've had lockdowns. And knowing when this book came out, I was like, I'm very late to the party reading this now. This book came out early March. So if I'd have read this when it came out, the timing of it all would have just been absolutely insane. I just can't believe that these things happened essentially in a book, in a more dramatic way in a book, obviously. But a book that was already published, and there's no way Cassandra Clare could have possibly have known what was going to happen this year. It's just wow. Wow, even when you're reading a fantasy book, you still can't escape what's happening in the world this year. Okay, so I did some reading for a bit, then I got a shower, which is why I'm still looking a bit damp. Had some lunch, watched other people's reading vlogs of Chain of Gold while having lunch, and what I did was I watched Hannah's over at Clockwork Reader and Emma's over at Emma Books. I watched up until the point where they'd kind of reached a similar point to me and then paused. So when I finish, the first thing I'm ever doing is going straight back to both of their videos and seeing what they think. But yeah, I just was at the point where I couldn't read this by myself anymore. I was like, I need someone else's thoughts. I want to know what other people are thinking, because I've just totally dodged everything about this book till now to avoid spoilers. So yeah, I'm really excited because I've got less than 100 pages left at this point. So I'm gonna jump in and finish this book, which, regardless of ending at this point, is probably my favourite Shadowhunter book yet. If it isn't, then it's a tie with possibly Clockwork Princess, which is my favourite. I don't think it'll even necessarily depend on the ending, but that means that this series is going to be so strong, because this is the first book in the series. So by that logic, this series will probably be the best series within the series yet. So I just finally finished Chains of Gold, and I hate Cassandra Clare right now. Hate her. I love the book. I'm sad for the characters, I guess. I enjoyed it overall. I'm going to give it 4 stars, I think, because it's not quite there at the 5-star level actually, but it's not far off. I think the next couple of books in this trilogy are going to be absolutely phenomenal. The way this one has ended, ooh. I will say, since I last updated you, I read a few pages and then it sort of felt like we'd done all we needed to do, and I was like, this should be the end, so why have I still got like 80 pages to go? Those last 80 pages, first of all, they dragged a little bit at times. I thought they felt a bit unnecessary, but yeah, there was a bit of a drag involved with them. Also, they were heartbreaking because of things that happened with the characters and how things have ended up. I'm just like, I don't want that. I mean, just because it's not what I wanted doesn't mean it wasn't good. It's not like I'm there going like a spoiled brat, like, oh, things didn't end how I want, so I didn't like the book. Not at all. I loved the book, and Cassandra Clare's creativity for relationships within the Shadowhunter world never ceases to amaze me. And meanwhile, I will say that this is definitely my favourite book in the series in terms of characters. Like, first of all, you get to revisit your favourite characters regularly from the Infernal Devices, which is always a winner. But also, I just absolutely love James, when he's not being an idiot anyway. I love James. I love Cordelia. I love Anna. I love Christopher. I love Thomas. I love Matthew. Lucy's amazing. And then obviously you get everyone else as well. Just, I love this group dynamic so much. I love the friendships, the relationships, how everyone is so comfortable with each other. It's just, yeah, turning into me gushing at this point. So on the risk of thinking that I've probably missed something out here, just because this is like my initial, I've literally just finished the book reaction, I think I'm going to take the risk and say that's everything I have to say and end this vlog. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book reviews and other bookish content from me, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.